Good morning, everyone. Ohio gozaimasu. This is a great, wonderful morning, and really getting into Purposeful Pathway. Got that started up again on Thursdays. This is Unblock Yourself, getting you out of your own way. And some of the elements from Purposeful Pathway will go into this. I was thinking, sitting in my thinking chair, thinking about things I think about. And Uncle Myron Golden, he said this, and I was talking about it last week, about you carry a piece of the master. You are a masterpiece. And that's what he was saying. You are a masterpiece. God created you fearfully and wonderfully made because we carry a piece of the master. That's why you're a masterpiece. And for today's podcast, I was thinking I was going to elaborate a little bit further, and we'll talk about this in a group tomorrow night. And if you're interested in Purpose Pathway, it's 6:30 on Thursdays, 6:35 on Thursdays, 6:35 to about 7:05. So 30 minutes to really start to change your life. Purpose is a seed. I was thinking, well, Myron also, he talked about this too, how God is kind of like a gardener. And our hearts are fertile ground. Jesus even did a parable about it, our hearts being fertile ground. Purpose is a seed planted by the master. That's what this is called. I'm going to type up the notes and I'll put it in there. We are all a masterpiece, and we carry a piece of the master right within us. This piece is our uniqueness and our purpose, which God plants deep within us. He plants it into that soil, right? And we have to start to allow God to nurture, to water that seed. All of us have this, we're wired to accomplish great things, right? We got all these things that we want to do, but what happens is circumstances, and we see everybody doing everything else. We try to go after that. So this is what I from Trust and Inspire. The books look like Trust and Inspire. Got two books. Trust and Inspire. This is a good book. I took this from there. It's reworded now. I'm applying this to purpose, but it says something like this: we all have purpose inside of us, although sometimes it lays dormant. Remember, it's a seed, and that uniqueness and that purpose, that seed is always there, and it needs the right conditions to flourish. So if you had a seed and you planted it and you did nothing with it, it'd probably just sit there in the ground. If you never watered it, you just put it in the ground and just walked away. For it to flourish, it needs sunlight, it needs water, it needs warmth. It needs the right conditions for it to start to grow. And our desires to accomplish something causes us to line up. We have these things, it's planted down within us, right? It's planted. And we need to let God set it. It's set up for us to let it grow. But it doesn't start to grow until we get the conditions right. All right. Just like in the parable of the sower and the seed, the sower plants, he scatters seed all around. And some seed falls by the wayside, right? It falls on hard ground. The conditions aren't right. Some seed falls in shallow ground, right? So it starts to germinate. The seed actually starts to grow, but what happens? It can't take root. It can't dig in deep. So it either falls over, it gets scorched by the sun, or all kind of things happen where it doesn't work. So our desires to accomplish something causes us to start to line up with the right conditions to awaken that potential within us. This is the good ground. Okay? We need to recognize that there is power in the seed. We need to nurture it so that it can flourish within us. And not unlike the soil and the water, the air, and the sunlight that enable the seed to grow, it grows when we start to see that our purpose for us is unique. And as we line up, as we start to see these conditions be fulfilled, you start to see that purpose start to make itself known. And as it's making itself known, you start to do things that you seem unstoppable, because purpose won't be stopped. Okay. Even if we decide to deter, if we decide to let somebody else handle it, usually God's purpose won't be stopped. Even though He's planted it down within us, if we're not going to take care of it, if we're going to just let it lay dormant, He'll put something similar into somebody else and let it grow in that soil, and that's from Trust and Inspire. So as we get the conditions right, we start to see that purpose and that thing growing within us, our uniqueness, starts to move towards goals. And those goals start to be accomplished. And we start to see great things happen. In mastery, this is what mastery looks like. Ooh. Mastery by Robert Greene is good. Our purpose, when our purpose seed is planted deep, I continue to put this into the purpose and the seed. When it's planted deep within us and it starts to grow, it has a voice which calls us to be. It's that authentic voice that's within us, that's unique. It's kind of like God's voice, and we usually call that voice, the VOC part of it, vocation. And that voice calls us to do certain things in our lives. So it calls us to be certain people. But here's the thing. The majority of us will hear that purpose, that uniqueness, and that voice, and choose to ignore it. And why would you do that? We'll devote all of our time trying to get away from it, because it's unique and because it's telling us to do, certain things, accomplish certain things, be certain people. And because it's like our DNA, it's genetically marked. Our uniqueness is us. It was put like this: we are a one-time phenomenon in the universe. Our exact genetic makeup has never occurred before, nor will it ever be repeated. Your parents only had you. And they might have more kids, but that genetic makeup at that point in time, that year, that even if you're twins, you are unique. It's only you. There's only you in one universe. And since it's that way, we try to get away from being unique because we see everybody clump together doing things. The world kind of shows us, hey, everybody eats this cereal. So, or TikTok, everybody's doing this trend. You have your voice, you have your unique personality, you have your purpose, and you have to master your message. You have your message deep within you. And if it doesn't come out, what will happen is we have to make choices. And when that choice comes about, we don't lean on the purpose, what's on the inside of us. We don't lean on that unique voice. We see what everybody else is doing. What's the trend? If I am an artist and I'm painting, I love to paint. Well, let's say my son. My son is an artist and he loves to paint kind of tribal type designs. But if you look around and everybody is doing, all the artists are doing this other thing. That's what's popular. That's what's popping. Everybody's doing graffiti on subway stations or something like that. He might look at himself and say, I'm not like everybody else. They'll look at him and be like, you're out there, you're doing the wrong thing. You need to be doing what everybody else is doing. Of course, because that's what everybody else is doing. But uniqueness, purpose, if he's fulfilling his purpose by doing what he's doing, then he's making a statement. He's doing whatever God has called him to do and fulfilling his purpose in the earth. Okay? He's not going to be like everybody else. And he can't fault himself with that. He can't feel disconnected because he's doing what God has called him to do. He's doing what his heart's telling him. What his purpose is calling him to do. So we try to shut that off usually, especially if we're not connected to it. If we're not connected to our purpose, if we're not connected to what's down on the inside of us, we shut that off, see what everybody else is doing and try to follow that trend. So if everybody else is jumping off the roof, then more than likely you're going to be doing that too. So at birth, that seed is planted and it germinates and it starts to grow when the conditions are met. When we start to listen to, okay, I like this. I like doing this. This is me. When we get away from this is me, you start to be like everybody else. And whatever, when I think back in my early days, the 5th, 6th grade, I like to laugh. A lot of boys like the girls. A lot of the kids like to hang out and try to be like big kids, try to smoke and, try to do grown-up type stuff. But I didn't really like that. I like to laugh. And I will always find myself making jokes out of everything. Not a comedian, but really not even funny. A lot of kids would be like, man, you goofy. Or don't do that, and they'll distance themselves, of course, because I wasn't like everybody else. That causes you to be an outcast, causes you to stand out a little bit. And because you're not everybody else, you either be like to the extreme, you're super great, or the other extreme, you're super lame, and nobody ever wanted to be there. Everybody was average. Nobody wanted to be super great. Nobody wanted to be super lame. So for me to conform, And to get in with the group, guess what? I had to deny some of the things that I like. If I like, I take it this weekend, if I like anime, but I wanted to hang out with everybody that's watching the Super Bowl, then I would have to deny some of the things that I like and just go with the norm. But if there's a purpose and a calling for you, the more connected you are with it, the more that stuff don't matter. The clearer that voice is, the weaker it is that enticement of the world or everybody else saying, be like us. That clear voice, that clear calling will cause you to do even greater things, because it'll get stronger and stronger. The more you hear it, the more you're in tune to it. And the sheep are in tune with the shepherd. That's what's coming to mind right now. They hear his voice, they hear him calling, they can tell. So if you had shepherd here on this side and you had somebody else on that side, they might both be calling the same sheep, but the shepherd, the one they're in tune to, they'll run toward that one. And usually they'll probably run away from the other. So just think about that as you go throughout your day. Think about the purpose and the things that's been planted on the inside of you. And like I said, I'll post that in my blog, and I'll post that in the notes too. But just think about all those things that you like and the things that bring you a sense of purpose. And we'll get into that in Purposeful Pathway too. So, love you much. Just a thought for today.